Good morning, noon, or night, everybody, and welcome to another video on the Maybe Bray YouTube channel. This one, of course, something a little bit different, but something that I'm hoping to get more of on the channel. It's a preview for Forest versus Bournemouth. I'm joined by Ben from Back of the Net. Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you.
You confident? How are you feeling ahead of the game?
I would be a lot more confident if we obviously had Dom Solanke gotten that he's gone, and obviously we haven't got a replacement in as of yet. And even if we do before the game, I highly doubt they will start because Iola's kind of system and the way we play, it takes a long time for players to be able to gel into, as we saw from the start of last season, going 9 without a win at the start of his tenure as a manager. But yeah, I'm still confident because the last time we lost to Forest, as I'm sure every Forest and Bournemouth fan will know, was quite a while ago. But I'm not as confident. I'm nowhere near as confident as I was. So if you would say, would you take a draw right now? I probably would say yeah, to be honest.
I mean, you've beaten us in quite gut-wrenching fashion in both of the times that you've come to our ground in the Premier League. Coming back to the striker thing, I've heard that there's 3 potential replacements for Solanke, those being Eddie Nketiah, Jimenez, and what's the other one?
Evan Nilsson from Porto.
Evan Nilsson. Who would you want if they hypothetically were to play against us?
It wouldn't be Nketiah. I think he would definitely be my third choice out of the 3. And then the others, I wouldn't mind either of them, to be honest, because I spoke to some Feyenoord fans already about what they thought about Jimenez last season. They said he fell off a bit towards the second half of the season. So I'm going to go for Evan Nilsson as my first choice, as he just looks more of a Solanke type player. And then Jimenez second, and Nketiah quite comfortably in third, personally. But they're all not bad strikers.
Who do you think that will actually start up front for you? Is it Jebison?
Yeah.
You've got in it? I think that's the who I've heard.
Yeah, at the moment it would be Jebison, because Unal's out injured and he's only just started to get back on the grass, doing some running. So he's nowhere near being ready. He won't be for well over a month. And then Semenyo used to play up front for Bristol City, but we've come to realise that he's much more effective as a right winger. So yeah, at the moment the only senior striker that we do have at the club is Dan Jebison, because we did have Adua J, and then he's gone out on loan to Carlisle because he's only young. So yeah, I'm assuming it will be Jebison, and if it is someone else, I'll be very, very surprised, because he's got 2 in his last 2 in pre-season as well. Talking
about pre-season, how do you reckon that your pre-season has gone?
It's been successful, I would say. I mean, we drew to Wrexham, drew to Arsenal, obviously lost on penalties, but that doesn't really matter because it was a league game. It would have been a draw, and then beat Rayo Vallecano and beat Girona. So to be honest, it's been pretty decent from what I've seen. We seem to be playing good football. There's been a lot of players that have played better that maybe didn't start for us a lot last season. Dango Ouattara has been very, very effective, and he normally, I think he started less than 50% of the games last season. And I know against Forest in December, he played a left back, and he's a natural right winger. And we've had, Roman Favour's played really well. Jebison, as I just mentioned, he has been really, really good. And Howson as well, that we just signed from Juventus. He looks to be a really, really promising player. So seems to be gelling well. The team seems to be in a good place. And just before recording, we have announced the signing of Araujo from Barcelona, not the Uruguayan talent that a lot of people know about, but he's a right back. He was on loan at Las Palmas last season. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that in the Spanish way. I think it's a very good signing for us. Where they will play or not against Forest, I don't know. But I think he'll definitely be on the bench, as long as obviously he isn't injured, because we do tend to have a bit of a theme to sign injury-prone players, as of recent, cough, Tyler Adams. But yeah, pre-season has been very successful for us, and I'm not sure quite how it's been for Forest. I think you beat, was it Olympiacos 4-3 in your last game?
We've been actually really, really promising in pre-season. We've seen some really, really exciting stuff. We played against Chesterfield as our first friendly, and I think it was 0-0 at the start of the second half, and we played like pretty much our second team who we didn't really think were going to get very many minutes. And then we come out in the second half, and noticeably immediately, Ibrahim Sangare absolutely ran it. He was unbelievable. He did nothing last season, in all fairness. I think he played like 3 games or something when around the sort of time when we first signed him, and he really, really didn't impress. I mean, against Luton especially, he played against them, and I remember just about all he did was miss an open goal. He kept on trying Hollywood passes, and they never came off. But absolutely everything that he's done in this pre-season has been just incredible. I mean, he topped off that performance with a goal at the end of that. I think we had a few games. We beat Millwall, we drew with Sunderland, to Olympiacos, and that was the one of the most eye-catching pre-season performances I've ever seen from a Forest side. We scored 3 goals from set pieces, which is mental given how we dealt with set pieces last season. It was horrendous, and now we've, as I say, we scored. I think it was 2 goals from a free kick, and then a knockdown, and then a goal from a corner. So that's going to be really, really interesting. And then we've just raced away with it, and it was 4-1 in like in a few minutes. Anthony Elanga with an unreal goal, where he picked it up on the halfway. Who just said, you know what, I'll just go, just ran the entire pitch and slotted it. But then it did come back at us a little bit. It got back to 4-2 and then 4-3, and it ended up being really nervy at the end, which was really, really surprising, because for that little period of time we absolutely dominated. And so I'm really unsure what to expect from that, because if we can get that dominating feel and then keep that up, then I don't see why we can't win this game if we play like that. But especially given the manner in which you guys have beaten us, like in the last minutes when we've not been on it, that does scare me a bit. Because if we're gonna turn off for the last few minutes, then you'll have us. Enough waffling about our pre-season again. What do you think that your starting 11 as for Saturday would be?
I think Travers will start in goal, where I think Neto's started both the games that when we played against you last season. But overall, Neto was very, very underwhelming. Had a poor season. I know he's club captain, and he's one of the highest earners of the club. I think it's on about 50 grand a week. But he was very poor last season. Travers came in for the last few games, played really, really well. Especially Wolves away, sticks out like a sore thumb. Unreal that game. So yeah, he closed out the season really well. Then I think back 4-wise, I think it probably, as long as Senesi's okay after his slight head injury at the weekend, he walked off fine, so it should be all right. Then it will be Kirkez, Senesi, Zabani, and right back's really tough. I do think Adam Smith will start ahead of Max Aarons and Araujo, but it's good that we've got a lot of competitivity there. And then midfield, again, we've kind of got 3 players that could all start: Alex Scott, Ryan Christie, and Lewis Cook. The 2 that started against Girona in our last pre-season friendly was Scott and Christie. So I'm going to go for them starting in kind of the holding midfield role. And then the 3 behind Jefferson up front that I think he will start, that I just mentioned, will be Sinisterra on the left wing, Cliver kind of in the 10, and Semenyo on the right. Just because I think that is our kind of best team. But if Lewis Cook were to start instead of Alex Scott, I wouldn't be annoyed at all. Both phenomenal players, got slightly different attributes, but Cook's not played quite as much as Scott in pre-season. So yeah, that would be my starting 11.
I'm trying to think of what it would be for Forest. I can see us going back to our regular shape. I'd imagine it'll be Sells in goal. Bit of a toss-up right back between who you pick at right back and who you pick at left back, between Aina and Williams. Williams was unbelievable last season, but Aina's just a brilliant player. So I think I'd probably edge Aina at right back. Then it'll be Milenkovic and Murillo, I believe. Williams is left back. Then Sangare and Danilo in the central, defensive midfield or central sort of positions. And I'd imagine Elanga on the right, Gibbs White through the middle, and Hudson-Odoi on the left. Then probably Woody up top, potentially to see a Wonyi off the bench. But I don't know. Yeah, it will be. I think that Sangare will absolutely be the one to watch, because I think that everyone will be very much thinking, can he do what he's done in pre-season? Because he looks like he's completely turned around. So who do you think is going to be your player to watch if mine's Sangare?
Ryan Christie is such an underrated player, which is why he's going to be my first place. But Semenyo and Sinisterra on both wings, unreal players. He at the start of last season was kind of our like second, third choice right winger, and Iola somehow transformed him into one of the best 8s that we've ever seen at the club. His tenacity, his pressing, his pace, his control on the ball is so good. He looks like a natural holding midfielder. Which is what I think I was really worried that when we sold Jefferson Lermore, he left at the end of his contract last summer, that we were going to really struggle to kind of replace him, because obviously Tyler Adams was injured and was for 99% of last season. But yeah, Ryan Christie, absolutely phenomenal player. And I know he's not kind of a flashy, big money signing from a big league. You know, we signed him from Celtic for a few million quid when we were in the Championship, and he's so good. So yeah, he'll be my player to look out for, because when he is on it, he can just control games with his passing range, the way that he can dispossess players and hold the ball and just link play up so well. So yeah, he would definitely be my player to watch.
For people who haven't watched that much of how Bournemouth play, how would you say that Iola gets his players to play?
I would say it's high pressing, high tempo, fluid, and very pleasing on the eye if you're a Bournemouth fan. Let's kind of imagine the scenario that Williams or Aina is on the ball at right back. We would have Sinisterra closed down on the left side, with Kluivert coming across to help as well, with then Kirkes and the left-sided midfielder come up to really box him in. Which is why I think last season we had the most kind of possession won in the final third. I think the stat was. I really like the way that we play football. It's much more pleasing than our past few managers. When
you're coming off the back of Scott Parker, then it's not that high of a bar, I guess.
Yeah.
So the combined 11 between us, where we can sort of fight our corners. Who do you reckon for in goal then?
I'm gonna try and be as unbiased as possible.
I'm gonna try and be as unbiased as possible here as well. Don't worry.
I would put Matt Sells in goal, personally, just because I'm not saying Travis is a bad goalie at all. I just think Sells has done more throughout his career, and I don't think he's been that bad at Forest, as far as I'm aware.
And he's been pretty solid. I think I'd probably agree with you there. See, Travis has got a special place in my heart, being a Weymouth old boy, but that's about it really. First pick, Matt Sells in goal. On to right back. Who are you putting there?
It was very, very difficult for me to make this choice, but just because, again, do we have a cemented right back? Probably, but I just think Nico Williams is that little bit better, and I think he's got a lot more to come in his career than Smith. And Aaron's, he's just a little bit too injury prone, but I think, again, they're all three very good right backs.
I think of Aina, as being better than Williams, so I'd give him that right back spot, and I think then it's up to Williams to compete with Kirkes.
So we'll settle on Aina at right back, because I just thought that Williams was starting right back and Aina was left back. Obviously,
they just swap across. I don't know enough about Kirkes to make a proper judgment, but I think that you've been making quite a strong case for him, and I think that since I've got Aina on one side, then it's not too unreasonable to stick in Kirkes on the other side. And for centre back pairing, you say?
I've gone for Zabani and Murillo. I just think Senesi, yes, he is a very good centre back for us, but I think Zabani is better in terms of the qualities as a centre back. Senesi scores more and got more assists last season, but I think as an out-and-out defender, I would rather have Zabani on my team than Senesi. And Murillo, there's been a lot of debates between Forest and Bournemouth fans on Twitter in kind of the last 6-12 months about who's a better defender, Zabani or Murillo. Luckily, in this case, we can have both of them.
Okay, well, for this game right now, I would be taking Zabani and Senesi.
Wow. What's the kind of thought process behind that? The
process of it is Murillo this pre-season has been shockingly underwhelming. Don't know if that's just getting the mistakes out in pre-season. He's given away 2 penalties across 5 games, and then he got absolutely skinned the player who he was last season. That's not the same Murillo. It's the exact same as why I'm going to pick Sangare. I would not have picked him last game of last season. Absolutely no chance. But after seeing what he's got to offer in pre-season, he'll be in my combined 11. But based on what he's offered in pre-season, Murillo wouldn't be. Not seen the Murillo heights from him. And I think that Senesi and Tabani are both top defenders. I think they will probably both agree with the central midfield.
Okay. Do you want to go first now?
Yes, I'd put in Sangare and Christie.
Yep, I'm exactly the same.
Going to the front line. We'll start with the cam. I will be backing Morgan Gibbs-White for this one. I don't know if you can agree with me there.
Yeah, I can. Kluivert's an excellent player, great presser. Could be more clinical in the final third in terms of his shooting. But I think Gibbs-White's got more well-roundedness as an attacking midfielder than Kluivert. Phenomenal player, and I'm sure he will go on to play for England in a top 6 club because he is excellent.
On to you for wingers.
I've gone for Sinisterra and Semenyo, but I do think it's very, very close between them. The most difficult pick for me was the left wing. I just think Semenyo for us last season was in our top 3-4 performers throughout the whole season, consistently, was phenomenal. Yeah, Sinisterra on the left wing was also very close with Hudson-Odoi. I just think his end product is a little bit better and he's got a little bit more flair to his game than Hudson-Odoi. Don't get me wrong, again, another excellent winger, but if Sinisterra could stay injury-free for a season, I would not be surprised if he got 10 goals and 10 assists plus. I'm intrigued to see what you would think.
I don't think I can allow both of them. So then I'll probably be picking Elanga on the other wing. Then I think that we've both gone for a little bit of pace injection in that case. But yeah, you said that a little bit of pace on the break can really, really hurt you. I'd be interested to see how Hudson-Odoi does because, I mean, it really surprised me when you said you think that Sinisterra has got a little bit more sort of end product when, I mean, I think that Callum Hudson-Odoi last season scored like 8 goals from about like 2 XG or something. But yeah, I think that in terms of if he plays well, I think that Elanga can really, really, really change a game. And obviously he did score against you. Well, I mean, both of them scored against you last season, didn't they? So
yeah,
I feel like the last one's going to be a bit boring though, because I mean, you don't really have a sort of fighting option really. So I think that one's going to be Chris Wood because that's probably who's going to be starting. I'd love a fully fit Taiwo Awoniyi because he's an absolute beast. But I think that until he's full fitness, then it'll be Chris Wood's time for us. Where do you think the Bournemouth are going to finish this season?
I think we may have a slight little dip off, maybe not score as many goals as we think, but I still think we'll be comfortably mid-table.
If you had to put a position on it,
13th, I would say.
40 minutes into a preview, and I've not asked you your score prediction.
2-2, I'm going to go for.
I feel like we could potentially win this one. I don't think that we'll lose. I think I might say 2-2 as well. Well, I think that's pretty much all we've got. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry that this has been such a mess. We've got context, you haven't. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out Back of the Net.
Chelsea ways tomorrow. Here is the clobber.
Look out for my vlog of the game, and you're probably going to be vlogging it as well, right?
Yeah. That content will be up Sunday morning.
Thank you all for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Don't be tight. And I'll see you in the next one. Remember to ingest cheese. Good night.